Andrew Gray, you're standing for MP for Selby and Ainsty. Can you just tell us a bit about why you decided to stand?
Oh yes, I just had to stand. So I live just a few miles away from the constituency. I've been involved in politics my whole life. I've been in like 3 political parties. Politics sort of courses through my veins, but I really just dislike the party political system. I don't like people knocking lumps out of each other, because the people I've met in those political parties are usually really good people that want the best of their country. They've just got different ideas about it. And I've been using a type of artificial intelligence this last 2.5 years. I've been doing it in Harrogate, and I've been using it around the country to find where people agree. And people agree on so much more than we're led to believe. So social media has us all sort of fighting each other and telling us all how stupid each other are, etc. And the national media does that as well. So we can think that everybody's hostile and everyone's attacking us, and that's not true. So I'm trying to run a really optimistic, positive and modern campaign in Selby and Ainsty. The technology is going to show everybody where there's agreement, and if elected, I'm going to be voting in Parliament exactly as the people in Selby and Ainsty want me to do. Because that's what a representative is supposed to do. You're supposed to listen and then represent. It's really simple.
And the technology then, obviously everyone's used to like a traditional poll where you might say you strongly agree or strongly disagree with a statement. But am I right in thinking that part of it is sort of challenging the premise that maybe the original question was not quite asking the right question in the first place?
Tim, that's a zinger of a question, yeah. Most people have filled in surveys and they're static and boring and sort of yes and no sort of thing. Whereas this is an evolving conversation. And the very best conversations, like the one I'm having with you, is when you come to it with a position, and you listen to the other person and you adapt your position, and the conversation evolves and it's completely unscripted. And that's what the Polis artificial intelligence, which I use and has been used around the world, that's what it does. And it'll start by asking about question X, and then it'll go meander around and it will find far more consensus points, often about things that we hadn't even started to ask it about, like the best conversations, just online, that's all.
And there must be an element, AI is often in the news, and it's often in the news with, it seems to be hugely either positive,
Yes.
maybe for use in medical treatments and diagnosis, but also I think it has a sort of connotation, doesn't it, of like an Arnold Schwarzenegger film of Terminator 2 with the machines taking over the world. How do you use it? How do you stop the machine taking over the constituency?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So this is a branch of artificial intelligence that's been around for a long time. It's called machine learning. It's more like an equation, really. It's not smart in a sense. But it's blending technology with humans. And I'm the human involved in this situation. And the people filling in the survey and improving the conversation, evolving it, they're all human. So here we're blending the best of humanity with the best of technology to advance our country and our area. And I think what the United Kingdom's always done well is that we are usually the first to make the right decisions. We were the first country to end slavery. We were one of the first to institute democracy and women's votes and the Factories Act, and so many things have evolved from our country. The computer was created here. We can take this step with our democracy, and I'll be the first person, I think, perhaps in the world to have done what we're doing here. And it can be done ethically and altruistically, and it can be done transparently. But you're right, there can be a dark side to technology. And I suppose I'm saying to you, as I'm a good egg, I will show all my information we gather to the media, to everyone who's voted, to the other candidates. So by involving themselves in the conversation, everybody in Selby and Ainsty will be improving their village, their town, their area. There's going to be more in-depth polling in this general election or this by-election than there's ever been in the history of this country.
And just coming back to the word democracy, obviously We've got, in this country we've got like a structure of you vote your MP in, but you also vote your local councillor in as well.
Yes.
And in North Yorkshire, we're also likely to be having a mayor, or we will be having a mayor, won't we, at some time
Indeed.
next year. And we've also got other figures there, like the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner, that was never intended to be a political figure, but they are largely political figures throughout the UK. Is that a structure that you kind of agree with? You know, do you support things like a mayor coming in?
Okay, on the question of the mayor, I'm agnostic about it. I said probably it's a good thing for North Yorkshire. I haven't applied my mind to it, but for me as a representative though, listening to the people, my job is to do just that. Like my view in a sense doesn't matter a great deal. I'm going to take sort of leadership from the will of the people, using artificial intelligence as a sort of listening tool to do that. But generally speaking, democracy I think is better at a local level. Generally speaking, I think roles such as the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner and mayors should be independent. And I'd also go as far to say I think MPs should be far more independent in the way that they think about things. What happens in Westminster is that anonymous party managers tell MPs how to vote. So the MPs don't have to listen to what their constituents think. They're being told what like Rishi Sunak or Keir Starmer or Sir Davey what to do. So they're not even listening. They're voting often against their constituents' interests and often against their conscience. Our system is, frankly, absurd. It's not fit for purpose, and it certainly won't be the same way in 5 to 10 years' time. I'm just the first person to institute this way of doing things.
And as I asked you that previous question, in a way it sort of showed you're kind of difficult to interview, because typically an interview like this, I would say, you know, what's your view on the health service? What's your view on education? And from what you're saying is that in a way that's not, your own personal view isn't important. What you want to do is poll and find out what the view of the people is.
You're right. On my website though, I do have my sort of political intuitions or instincts, things that are sort of meaningful to me, things that I think would be best for the country. But if I was voting in Parliament, yes, I would be taking lead from the people. However, I do think it's the role of the MP to show a leadership role, to educate and inform, to challenge as well. And of course, you know, to sort of take instructions, as we say as lawyers, I'm a lawyer, from people. But we should, of course, you're right, listen to what they say, even people under the age of 18. And now they can't vote, but I want to listen to what they say. It's their future that I will be representing, and I think they ought to have some sort of say. They're not say voting, they can't vote in this election, but they should be able to inform the MP and inform other people using this innovative conversation.
And on that note then, do you think people's voting habits have changed? Do you think there's a feeling that my vote doesn't really count, therefore, you know, it's not that important? Or people are reluctant to put a little bit of legwork into finding out about the candidates? But I suppose Selby and Ainsley's got a whole 13 candidates standing, so there's a complex sort of decision to make there.
There is. Now our system is broken, and it's been broken for years. Most MPs are not voted by the majority of people in their constituency. That is not democracy. If you allow me to just talk about where democracy came from, most people know it came from ancient Greece. Back then, free men, so not slaves and not women, would listen to a debate and put their hands up for one side of the debate or the other, or they'd use a pebble. One person, one vote. A little bit like the Brexit referendum. It would count. Only when things got more complicated did we need representatives. Now the technology is there. We can almost go back to democracy's pure roots. So in a sense, yes, I'm being radical and modern, but in a sense, I'm also going back to its historical roots of democracy.
And if people want to find out more about your campaign, what can they do?
Thank you. So go to my website, www.andrew-gray.org. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter and Facebook and lots of other platforms. But engage with me, you know, join the movement, volunteer with me, challenge me, ask me questions, challenge the technology. Have a look on my site. I've got 5 reasons why people shouldn't vote for me. My tax returns are on there. I'm trying to do things differently and transparently. I'm not attacking any of the other candidates or any of the parties. My target is the system. I think the system in the United Kingdom is breaking. Political system, the relationship to the Bank of England and the Chancellor is broken. The NHS, I think, is broken. Lots of mainstream media is broken. And people in Selby and Ainsty, in fact throughout the country, know that that is true. But we need to evolve with the times. The problems are man-made and they are fixable. The status quo will not do it. We're in free fall and it needs to be arrested.